and the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, sits down and joins us. And if you were with us the whole time, thank you. If you weren't, I want to go back to the beginning. Buzz said there's going to be about 82 opportunities at rebounds, and the Aggies were a plus 10, 45-35 in this. You nailed it, Buzz, and you had to have those kind of numbers if you're going to win on the road, don't you?
I'm just now looking at the stats, and I would have said it prior to looking at the stats. I think that our team is built such that regardless of where we play, we have to win on the offensive glass and we have to win on the defensive glass. And if we do those things, potentially it's a low turnover rate, right, for us, because that means we got up enough shots to beat that team on the offensive glass. The second thing is, if you win on the offensive glass and you win on the defensive glass, potentially it means you had a low turnover rate, and potentially it means for us that we attempted more free throws than they did. And all of those things are interconnected. And to my point with you this morning, I've tried to figure out a way to succinctly, without getting lost in the minutia of the data, to teach that to our returning guys. Because if you study the numbers from last year, we were so dependent on offensive rebounds. We finished 4th in the country. And free throw rate, we finished 1st in the country. And so we have to continue that. And I thought that tonight, that is what allowed the game to at least always be in a position where the needle was pointing towards us. It's going to be a lower possession game, and we're okay with that as long as those things are true. If those things aren't true, it probably means it's too fast, or we're playing with too high of a turnover rate, and or we're fouling them too much, and we're not getting fouled enough. And I told him it was going to be 82. I'm pretty sure I told you it was going to be 82.
Yeah.
Because I study all the numbers, and too much studying, too much numbers. But I try to figure out how I can explain to our guys, how can I boil it down to the lowest common denominator on our strategy when the ball is in the air. It's a loose ball in the air. What is our plan for all 5 guys? And then we spend an inordinate amount of time studying what the opponent's plan is in that regard, because even though it's easy to look at the numbers, our effort, our rebounding effort, that's what we call it. We have to win that, and we have to win it on both sides. And so tonight there were 80. I told the kids there would be 82.
Yeah.
And winning by 4 on the offensive glass, winning by 6 on the defensive glass. And we want to make more than the opponent attempts from the free throw line. We've got to shoot a higher percentage than 70%.
Yeah.
But those are good numbers, and it's a low turnover rate.
3 turnovers each half.
Yeah, we'll take that every day.
How about this,
Yeah.
Buzz? I mean, for this early in the season, and of course you've played games, we've talked about that, but there were so many rough spots. I mean, it wasn't perfect on either side, but it was a battle. And then when we endured the rough spots, and it was team defensive effort was exceptional, but there were individuals that stepped up offensively and hit big buckets, and that just doesn't happen by the individual. It helps their teammates helping them get the ball in the right situations.
If you can have 3 guys in double-digit scoring and 2 guys in double-digit rebounds, the numbers are probably tilting your way. I thought our staff, I just told the organization, our staff was phenomenal in their prep prior to talking to our guys about Ohio State in 2 days before. And our team, for it to be the first week of the season for this group, in a very mature way, processed all of that content, and the staff had studied it enough that what we practiced is what it was. And that doesn't always work that way. But our defense is going to take away it's going to shrink their playbook. And now you have to make decisions on what else do they do and what are they working on to attack how we play.
One of the things that I saw them doing, I don't know, somebody's going to have to explain this, how the block player can screen on penetrations and move.
Yeah, and so that is, we called it the low man play. They ran it in Game 4 last Thanksgiving against Texas Tech. And so my worst attribute is over-preparing and trying to act like a coach and giving too much content. And so I always have to talk to the staff on, do we need to know this or does our team need to know this? That play, we decided we need to know this. And I'm telling you, Coach, as soon before there was a pass in that possession, I said words my parents wouldn't approve of to our staff. And I said, I told you guys, they make the pass. They do exactly what you said. They score. So that was it. That was prior to the first media timeout.
Right.
So for all the kids that have been around me a long time, I kind of talk to them on the side. You know what I mean?
Well, coach can do that.
I'm hedging my bet a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Particularly with Henry. When it's too much, they can handle too much. So I apologized in the huddle. Guys, I'm going to show you what it is. That was my fault. That basket is on me. Okay, now listen, we're not talking about anything else this time out. No, nothing else. We're only talking about this because they're going to run it 6 more times. They ran it 7 more times, and they never scored. Because there was an adjustment within that play because that was part of their playbook to attack our defense, and it was right. And our guys handled that adjustment in the timeout. And I'm not saying they didn't score in those other 6 possessions. They didn't score from that action.
Right.
And like I told you, in a demented way, that's kind of what – not everything about this job is fun, but in between the lines, even though I don't get to coach very much anymore, but when I get to coach, it's like fun.
I thought it was – again, speaking to the coaching part, when your team is they're in tune, they're listening, they're disciplined enough to get people the ball where they need it. And it's not easy to get a cleared side with a straight line drive potential for Tyrese because everybody knows he wants to do that.
So we go through all this stuff, hours and hours and hours of stuff. Very regimented in our routine 2 days before, very regimented in 1 day. Very routine in what we do today in every possible way. When I'm with them, when I'm not with them, what's the staff responsibilities, et cetera, et cetera. All of it. So we prayed for the last time in the huddle, in the locker room. And I said, guys, I got one more thing. Time, score, momentum. And so just hear me out on this. There's going to be about 9 possessions tonight when it's murky and when it doesn't feel right and it's yucky. We can handle yucky. We're all right with yucky. We're all yucky. We just need to be on the same page. And it's going to be 3 or 4 in the first half, and it's going to be 5 or 6 in the second half. If we're all wrong when it's yucky, I'm good with it. We just need to be all wrong. And if we're all right, we need to be all right. Because in this environment, first week of the season, quad 1 road win game, it's going to be a 1-possession game. It's going to be a 2-possession game. We'll handle all of that fine. But we get an offensive rebound and it's a tap out. Are we supposed to shoot it? Are we supposed to drive it? Do we need to reset? When we reset, what does it need to be? They get an unclean rebound. That ball's swinging all over the place. Can we get our defense back set? It's going to happen 8 to 9 times. TSM. And I don't care what it is, and I don't care who's on the floor. Just all of y'all be on the same page. It happened out of the timeout, out of the ATO, the last ATO of the first half. I think we were down 3. We were down a possession going into the last ATO of the first half, and I believe we went in up 1 at half.
Right. Yes.
And then I thought that there were several possessions there in that last 6 minutes where you're like, oh, is this the first week of November or is this the third week in February?
I thought conference play. I really did. That's what crossed my mind.
And the competitive charisma, spirit, unity, talk of the organization, new players, old coaches, man, it was at a mid-February level, and I thought our time score momentum, not did we score, not did we get a stop. No, were we all in a tug of war? Were we all pulling in the same direction? And
yeah,
I think that's huge.
Boots at times, then Wade carries at times. Henry this entire game.
I thought Henry was
unreal.
Henry was mean.
Yeah, he's
with intelligence.
Yes,
hey, now,
smart.
We were
smart.
attacking that ball screen coverage, and he was the point guard more than Boots and Four was tonight.
Right.
And he was playing with the zeal that we have all seen, but I don't know that we've seen it this early. And he was making good decision after good decision after good decision in the middle of the floor as the point guard. And I thought what he was doing on the glass, I mean, he was
a man among boys, but at the same time, he handled the ball in setting the offense or turning the offense over more than I've ever seen him. And
he played 36 minutes. He played more than any player in the game
turnovers
on either side, and he had 0 turnovers. And he was making as many decisions with the ball as what Four typically does or Boots does. And now all of a sudden, now the attention that Boots and Four are receiving, it plays to our favor when the result is maturity on the next decision maker. Similar to H.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you say whatever you want to say about H. I bet I have a pretty good idea how they're going to guard H.
Yeah.
Okay, well, H. Hey, man, if your feet are set, boom. But they're going to guard you like it is boom.
Yeah.
And now that makes that seam for Four different. That makes that seam for Boots different. And on the weak side, when Four and Boots are making that decision to get that ball to Henry, and they're playing H like boom, okay, now it helps Henry. And all of that is interconnected.
Yeah.
No, it is beautiful.
And I loved H's pass to Henry early in that first half.
His hands tonight, I mean, he's a
Henry
player.
with 0 turnovers, H with 0 turnovers, Four with his highest turnover rate thus far. So Four has 10 assists and 2 turnovers on the season.
Yeah.
Boots with 1 turnover. When did Eli have his turnover?
I don't remember that.
We'll have to look that one up.
Well, what were y'all doing?
We were biting our fingernails is what we were doing.
It's game 2, and I'm down to the nub.
I know.
I'll tell you this. This is what's interesting.
I don't remember Eli. It must not have been a live ball turnover. I don't remember Eli turning it over.
How about Anderson though? Because I think he's not in mid season form yet, but he's all over the place as far
He impacts the game.
He does.
Maybe as much, for sure for me, he impacts the game more than any player I have ever coached that doesn't have to shoot.
Yeah. How about he almost had 2 runouts on his own?
And you don't want to take him out of the game, and it's another interconnected deal. Everybody that's on the floor, when he gets an offensive rebound, if his feet aren't in the paint, he's not going to score. And he's throwing it to him going, Go ahead. Here for you. Shoot it. Shoot it again. I'll try to get it again. And a lot of times he does.
That's true. That is
He got
7 of his 13 were offensive rebounds.
But also he's clutch because it was after your timeout. You set something up. He's the trigger man, and
Yes.
they were doing a great job of denying, curls or whatever it was. And
They were locking and trailing everything.
And he was not going to – that possession was too big to take a chance on anything.
The patience.
Yeah, and so he knows what he's there to do. You put him in that position, and then he ends up getting it to Wade, and Wade ends up getting fouled. But, I mean, that's trust.
Yeah.
That's what good organizations have. That's what good teams have. And if you're wanting to be a good organization or a good team, the earlier you can have that trust, the better chance you have over the next 150 days. And so we're grateful for the blessing. And as I told the guys this morning, you guys may have heard it, the presence of the blessing does not mean the absence of the pressure. Hey, man, this is unbelievable. Look at this. Like, for real. Like, this is a top 20 job. Look at this.
Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity. What a blessing. Yep, but it doesn't mean that it's the absence of the pressure that comes with the blessing. And it doesn't prevent the requirement for the production.
Right. That doesn't change.
That's still required. That's how you keep a job. That's how you grow within a job. But that's what has to happen within a team, right?
Yeah.
Man, look at all this hype. Look at all of these votes and thank you. Thank you. But sometimes all of that getting attention prevents paying attention.
That's good.
We can handle the attention.
Yeah.
Not everybody. We can handle the attention. We got to pay attention. And we have to realize that with this blessing, the presence of this blessing, all of this stuff, fly on a plane, eat fancy food, play in the best arenas in the country, all of that stuff is a blessing. But it's not the absence of the pressure that comes with the blessing. And it doesn't prevent the requirement required relative to the production. And man, we want you here. We desired you here. We recruited you here. We're thankful you're here. We're thankful you're a returning player. We're thankful we're ranked or whatever. We're thankful you're preseason player of the year. We're thankful. And we'll handle that with great humility. But that presence of all of those things does not mean there's an absence of the pressure required to produce. Yeah. All right, man. And what is so difficult, regardless of how old you are, is sometimes you can deceive yourself subconsciously that I have removed myself because I've achieved some status. No, actually, you've taken the next step on the mountain, and that oxygen is harder to breathe because now more people are going at you. You used to be the ones going at them, and now can you handle that role reversal? No, you're that one. And so that's a blessing, but it's not the absence of the pressure. And it doesn't remove you from the requirement to produce. And you have to be willing to understand that that production is even more difficult because of the stage and the platform that it's created.
Well said. Thank you so much for coming up here and joining us.
Great win.
This is like the strangest deal I've ever seen.
I know. Hey,
That's dangerous.
I commend
like you're
you.
walking through the concourse with just like the civilians, like, hey, you want a soda?
Wait,
No, I'm trying not to do anything.
Before the game was over.
Say it again.
Good thing is a lot of them had left.
Well, if I would have known we had to do all of this, I would have stayed in the locker room. Y'all can come down there.
I'll send him next time. Thanks, Buzz. Buzz Williams and the Aggies.